for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, the need for the relevant security agencies to bring to an end the spate of oblivious kidnappings, killings, and armed banditry attacks across the country. The House notes that in recent time, security situation in some parts of the country has degenerated. Also notes that cases of kidnappings, killings, armed banditry have become a daily occurrence across the country, especially in Niger, Benue, Sokoto, Zamfara, Kaduna, and Katsina State, just to mention a few. Cognizance of the presidential directives, which has not helped to drastically reduce cases of kidnappings and armed banditry, as well as killings in the country, due to lack of sustained tempo in the intervention of our military, of our security agencies. These criminals, as a result of that, these criminals have continued to regroup in different camps in government reserve forests, which are spread across the country, and the surrounding villages across near the government reserve forests. Worried that the magnitude of the attacks on various communities have reached an alarming rate as these criminals have continued to perpetuate their criminal acts unabated. Also worried that if this criminality is not urgently addressed, there will be an imminent present danger to our food security in this country. Concerned that any deferment by the security agencies to abridge the continuous horror and inhumanity will result to an enormous loss of lives, destructions of properties, and immobilize the socio-economic and educational activities of various communities across the country. Aware that the country is battling to contain the dangerous community infections rate of COVID-19, added with the persistent attacks by criminals on farming communities across the country, especially in the Northwest and North Central, and if this is not addressed quickly, this may result to serious food shortage in coming years in this country. Also aware that about 500 primary schools and 2,000 communities were completely destroyed across the countries in these crisis areas as a result of this incest, kidnappings, killings, and armed banditry attack. Also worried that these criminals are armed to the teeth with weapons supplied by known or unknown gun runners in cosmopolitan cities across this country. The House resolves to summon the National Security Advisor, the Chief of Defense Staff and his service chiefs, the Director, State Security Service, the Inspector General of Police, next week to brief the House on the efforts being made and the way forward to bring in an end to these killings, kidnappings, and armed banditry across the country. Mandate the leadership of the House to continue the engagement with all the security agencies and report to the House monthly on the progress being made until these heinous crimes are resolved or normalcy is restored in the country. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
I've listened to contributions from members. Mr. Speaker, there's an assumption here. There's an assumption that you can use law enforcement and security to kill poverty. You can't, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues explained about the rates of unemployment, about how our governors receive monthly, yearly allocations without putting proper infrastructure or engaging the youth in gainful employment. Mr. Speaker, there's an assumption that armed forces of Nigeria are well equipped. Mr. Speaker, there's an assumption that the armed forces that are trained to fight against foreign aggression can effectively fight insurgency or banditry. Mr. Speaker, there's an assumption that the armed forces of Nigeria is well funded. Mr. Speaker, I stand here to say that these assumptions are very, very wrong. Mr. Speaker, this role that everybody is looking on the Nigerian armed forces to perform are actually roles that the Nigerian police should perform. Mr. Speaker, focus should be channeled to how the Nigerian police can be better manned, how the Nigerian police can recruit as many youths as possible, how the Nigerian police can start community policing. Mr. Speaker, how the Nigerian economy can employ and make employable our youth. Mr. Speaker, this is not an armed forces matter. Mr. Speaker, this is a real economic matter that needs a Marshall Plan for us to get out of. I repeat again, sir, you cannot use law enforcement to kill poverty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Babajimi Benson.
Today we have so many operations in the country. Operation Habro Kunama, Operation Zaki, all over. Even yesterday or 2 days ago, we have another establishment of this very operation by the armed forces. And so I'm taking it back when the chairman defense is trying to defend to say the army should be exonerated from this very particular. I think we should take exception to that. We are voting in money is being given out. They are establishing formations everywhere for the purpose of curbing this very bad scenario that is happening in our country. You can't travel for any part of this country freely. Is it going to Kaduna? Is it going to South? And I think it's not about poverty. Poverty is everywhere. If, for instance, I want to know what is the number of these people, what is the area where both helicopters were celebrated, money has been voted, I say substantial money. I want to know the area where these people are operating, that they cannot be surrounded, they cannot be calm. Sir, it's very, very sad. And I think something should be done. I want to say, sir, that there is no synergy as far as I'm concerned within the armed forces. And so one is trying to outweigh the other. I want to say from the previous information that I know, security, DSS particularly, have been doing exceedingly well. And I will say this to the entire world living here. Virtually, nothing that has happened, nothing, without an information to say of expectation of what may likely happen. But what is the problem that from the other arms that they cannot collaborate with their own colleagues and then solve the matter? Politics are coming. Last time we spoke, we knew how the armed forces, when they operating in Bama, have turned out to be people who are now selling fish. It's not even Nigerian. There's no patriotism in what is going on. And I think something should be done apart from hearing, sir. Some heads have to roll. You recall the House passed a resolution asking and condemning and then passing a vote of confidence on the activities of the service chiefs. Unfortunately, they have not been removed. Unfortunately, I will say I will domicile this problem under their care. You are aware of the memo that was leaked between the office of the late chief of staff and the problem between with the national security advisor. Why are we pretending? Why are we pretending when we know the reality? Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, something has to be done. One life in Nigeria means a lot to all of us.
With this pandemic, I want to say our people cannot go to farm. And if we cannot farm, there's no importation. How are we going to survive? How will the country survive? Food security is something that all of us should be worried about, apart from the human life that we should also way to protect. All of us here have sworn to do that. And I think we should call a spade a spade. It's time to rise to the occasion to ensure, by the grace of God, to ensure that this thing comes to an end. Governors have gone, another governors, for instance, went into various situations. Armed bandits that are known had negotiations. Where? Lodged in hotels. Why do you have to negotiate with a criminal? What has it paid to us? All this negotiation, what has it paid? Have we getting something? If you read today's paper, you find where Masari is saying, regretting negotiating with them. You need to listen to some of the audios. Somebody in Kasina, a member in the House of Assembly, domiciling the problem, and the problem is true. Because if we are doing what we are supposed to be doing, of course, some of this thing cannot be happening. Yesterday I was watching NTA, and I watched Tim Long, who is one of the most respected persons, and he's saying in NTA to the whole world, the problem of security, as far as it's concerned, the National Assembly of Nigeria are part of the problem. Why is he saying that? We are not doing our oversight the way we should be doing. He even challenged us that we are not, he compared us what we are doing with the Congress of America. It is true in some of the areas, and I think, sir, all of us should rise to the occasion. I support the motion wholeheartedly in all the content. We should invite these people, they should come and give us, and we must find a timeline to solve this matter. Otherwise, even it means to summon the president, nothing bad to summon the president to come and address us on the self-nation and security matter. Thank you very much, sir. This is about me.